folks, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. We'll review all the latest and coolest social media technology. Got a really exciting product to share with you today. We probably should have a drum roll or some music from some movie music to come up. But what we have in this bag is the new iPad, what some call the iPad 3, if you will. The new iPad from Apple.com. I'm sure you've heard of them. This is the black 32 gigabyte version, and you can see it here. We're going to go ahead and unbox it so that you can see this version emerge from the box, as it were. Now, one of the things that I've had before is I had a 32 gig, and I'll do this as we talk, as we open this puppy up. One of the things I had before was an iPad 2 32 gig. I pretty much had it full, and I've got all the big programs that have huge amounts of memory base, including Rage HD, which is the largest. It's about 2 gigabytes that it takes up in data. And pretty much with this iPad, it's going to store files because of the Retina display at a much higher resolution. The programs are getting bigger with resolution. I highly recommend that if you're going to buy a new iPad or iPad 3, you get a 32 gigabyte. Now, if you're unlike me, where you're not somebody who's constantly getting apps and buying apps and filling up your iOS devices with apps, you can probably get by with a 16 gigger. But I would highly recommend you get a 32 gigabyte device. The reason being is because the video files, everything is bigger on this. When it records video, pictures, everything's going to be much bigger. So I would highly recommend you do a 32 gig. So enough with that speech. Let's go ahead and unbox this baby and open it up. And what do we see in here? It's a beautiful black iPad. Now, it is a bit heavier than the iPad 2. I wouldn't say it's as heavy as an iPad 1. I don't remember how heavy it was, but you can see how beautiful this looks, of course, in the plastic. You can go ahead and experience this with me. Now, not much has changed in the controls and how they look and how they operate. There's a little bit of change we'll get into after we unwrap this and get to spend a day with it. We'll review some of the controls and stuff. Speaker hasn't changed much, but we'll get into some of that as we go through this. Looks like we have the normal things that you find with Apple. You, of course, get a pull-out box that has their warranties and all that good stuff on it. So we'll set that aside. Your normal Apple cable, standard operating procedure here for Apple. And then you, of course, have your little flip out, pull out. This is a special power adapter for the iPad. So, pretty cool design. I can tell already that it's much heavier than what I'm used to with my iPad 2. When I say much, we're not talking like more pounds, but we're definitely talking, I can feel a real significant difference in holding it in its heft. So let's see if we can't turn it on. And as always with my reviews, we take them and we spend, here I'm going to set this in the box. This thing's new, we don't want to really get it scratched up. But what we do is we step away and we give this a review for a good day or two, 24 hours, at least a few hours, where we can give you our recommend, our experience, and how we feel about it. But it looks very sleek, looks very nice, a little bit more heavier. I have tested this at the iPad store to where you can go through and let's see, you can go through and tested their facilities there, and it does run warmer. I have noticed a significant difference with that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish setting this up and all the good stuff. We're going to come back with some more tests and views in just a second, and I'll tell you what I think after playing with it for 24 hours. Okay, so we've gotten a chance for actually a good couple days here to play with the new iPad 3 or the new iPad. Everyone seems to want to call it something different. A lot of confusion on the part of Apple doing that. So anyway, love the product. I mean, what can you say? It's an Apple iPad. Apple, of course, has done a great job. It's much faster, about, I'd say 20 to 25%. That's my perception. That's not a benchmark or technical term, but that's my perception. It seems about 20% better. I notice a lot of programs that used to be really sluggish, like Google Plus, Path, and a few others, run much faster and make up a ton of difference. Facebook is another one that moves very slow, or used to with the iPad 2, moves much faster, and it's much more palatable now, although it's not quite perfect, and that's Facebook's fault. Love everything about it. The being faster makes a huge difference. The quality of the screen is the most immaculate thing you've ever seen. People talk about it. It is crazy cool. In fact, when you broadcast it to your HDTV, you tend to even notice that your HDTV isn't as nice as the screen on here. One thing about it is if you have an iPad 2, unless you're a real heavy gamer and you love the games that are on the iPad 2, you really don't need to be spending the money to upgrade to the iPad 3. Is it really worth that much more to buy a whole new one? I don't think it is. If you have an iPad 1, definitely you want to make the step up. If you've got an iPad 2, it's not going to make that big of a difference to you unless maybe you want to get the 4G version where you can get the 4G speeds. 4G speeds, of course, are much better than the 3G speeds. It is a data hog. It tends to hog a lot of data. Walks with the dogs unless you've got a really clear connection, or if you're on a 4G, you can run into some buffering lag. But with 4G, it seems to run really well. But even some of the Android hotspots that I tested with 4G, you still had trouble keeping up with it. It depends on which phone I used and the quality of it. So that's that. So if you have an iPad 2, you're really not going to see much difference in getting the iPad 3. Just a higher quality screen, a little bit more speed. Like I said, unless you go to the 4G. I'm really impressed with it. I love the beauty of it. We even put this is from Ozakiverse.com. Ozakiverse, you can find them on the ChrisVossShow.com website. They make some great products. We put a screen protector on the back. The other thing I was going to mention is you do have to watch out for certain cases that you may have bought or holders that you may have bought. It's very rare. Most of the cases and holders are still staying within the same guidelines of space and everything. The iPad is a little bit bigger, just by a touch, but we found one or two cases that it made all the difference and it wouldn't fit. In fact, one of our holders, you have to buy an extra thing. The one thing I was going to mention, a lot of people talk about the heat, and it is a little bit warmer in this area here, not enough to make a real big difference, and you really have to be playing with it for a while and usually playing a hardcore game. But it's a little warmer, nothing that's going to burn you, nothing to care, write home about. If anything, it's just minuscule, really. But you do notice it on the right side. It's a touch heavier, but after a couple days, you don't notice the difference. At first, you're kind of like, whoa, this is a little heavier. It's very small and slight in the difference of its weight. Highly recommend it. Of course, you can get it at apple.com or any other Apple retailing outlet. And be sure to check back to the ChrisVossShow.com.